Hello, everyone. I stand before you today really grateful, really humbly to be up here. I'm going to be giving a presentation on permaculture at universities. It's a project that I've been involved in for a couple of years now. It's a case study of UMass Amherst, and I think it's something that is going to lead into a discussion at the end. And so my goal of this talk is to share a little bit about this project and then open it up for feedback at the end, because I know we have different opinions about should permaculture even be in universities. And so I'm going to just stand up here and just take it. I just want to hear all your feedback, all your concerns, your positive responses and negative. Just throw it all at me at the end. So I'll go right into it. A little bit about who I am. So my name's Harb. I work at UMass Amherst right now. I'm their Chief Sustainability Specialist, but more appropriately, my title is the Permaculture Specialist there. So I think I have one of the most unique jobs probably in the world right now, where an institution has fully funded me to actually come here and also be a permaculture specialist on the campus. So it's really unique, and I think it's something that's a trend that's going to be happening at other universities. So that's why I wanted to give this talk, is I wanted to give a little bit of framework. And since this seems like, from my eyes, it's happening everywhere anyways, it's important to have that discussion on it, on whether or not we should try to design it, or if it's something that we should just naturally let happen, as is. So that's what I'm going to be talking about after. This is a little bit my background. I was a business student originally, so I bring a unique perspective to permaculture. I got a master's in green building, and I was the first person in the US to get a master's in green building. Lead AP, Permaculture Design certificate, teaching permaculture creatively. I share this not to brag, but just because this was important part of me actually getting hired for the job. When you're applying for any job, people like those little letters that are next to your name, right? So when I'm applying, I can write the MS next to my name. Or if I'm talking to someone really important, maybe like Bill, I'll write my name like this. It's just a lot of letters right next to it. So that's a joke.
You can't see the stats in here, so if you move 1 meter to the left.
Okay. Can you see better? Okay. So this is kind of how I got started. TPCC is Teaching Permaculture Creatively. I don't know if anyone else uses that acronym, but yeah. Dave Jackie was my teacher for that. So this is me. This was a couple of years ago after I took my Permaculture Design course. And as everyone knows, when you take the course, you feel extremely excited, really empowered. You want to go out there and you want to change the world. And you feel like you have some of the solutions to do that. So I set about transforming my entire grass lawn into a permaculture garden in the front yard so a lot of people could see it. So we put up a lot of signs that says permaculture, edible forest garden in the making. Everyone who walked by the house could see what we're doing, and then there was an information sheet just telling about why we're doing this and why it's important. So this was the grass lawn. It was 1/8 of an acre, about 6,000 square feet. So that was in September. That was about 8 months later, in May. It's another picture of it. This is all in less than 1 year. And that's in about 10 months, 11 months. We got our first harvest. We had raspberries, we had lettuce, lots of vegetables, we had strawberries coming out of it. It was a really successful first year. So this is my introduction. This is my first project. Nobody hired me except myself. So that was an easy client to work for. But then it got a lot of attention from the university because I was a graduate student at the time. And so I showed them what I was doing. I wrote a thesis on it. I did a project on the ground so they could actually come and see it. And it was an important demonstration site really close to the campus that got them thinking about permaculture. So that's majority of what I'm sharing today is the UMass Permaculture case study. So part one of this talk is going to be the background, how we got from getting a project off campus in my front yard to having a 1/4 of an acre demonstration site now fully thriving on the campus. Part 2 is just what's happened in the last year since we started that, and that's going to be told more like a story. So I hope you all are comfortable, because I'm going to have you sit back, maybe get some popcorn, just enjoy the story that I'm about to tell. And part 3 is I'm really trying to leave time at the end to have a discussion. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear all the concerns, like I said, about this project and about this trend that's happening at all universities. So, yeah, University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Yep. So I'm going to give just a little quick background. My employer is the dining services on the campus. So they're the ones that are actually employing a permaculture specialist, and now actually 2. There's another person who was also just hired. So campus dining, they care about flavor, healthy options, world cuisine, and sustainability. Right? That's their 4-fold mission. I showed this because I think this is really important when we're talking about scale of permaculture. They serve over 5 million meals per year. They have a budget of over $60 million. So we're not talking about just a really small scale institution. If we want to do really permaculture, this dining services, it's got to go a long way. It's not just this 1/4 of an acre garden. So I want to be upfront and say I'm not claiming that UMass Amherst is a permaculture university by any means. They have a long way to go, but we have a demonstration site there. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing, because we have a commitment to do more demonstration sites on the campus. So for 5 million meals a year, it's a lot. And they had this trend that was happening where they're increasing their local food purchasing. So before I even got hired, for the past 7 years, they've increased their local food from 8% to 25%. So it was already going in that direction. So when they heard about permaculture for the first time, it made sense in the way that the direction that they were going. So they said, wow, this makes sense. We could adopt this, and this is part of our sustainability strategy now. And so these are some of the other things they did. One important thing just to note is if you're ever working for a big institution or a big corporation, one little change can cause a significant impact. And the one I want to talk about is the 3rd one up from the bottom, where it says eliminated 600,000 water bottles and soda cans. And do you want to know how they did that? It's by inserting water purifying stations. By giving every student one of these at the university right when they got there. And instead of having water bottles that students dispose of, they have them fill them up, and they have little purifying stations where you press a button, it fills that up in about 5 seconds, and students leave. So that one change of getting that in the dining hall saved 600,000 water bottles and soda cans. So just little things like that at a major institution, has a huge impact. And then their most recent one is this permaculture. It's more of an initiative now. It's not just this one demonstration site, but you're going to see I'm really excited about this project because they've invested about $100,000 in permaculture in just the first year, and that's going to continue over time. So how did this get started? I'm going to give you a little historical context. Back in the 1980s, we had people talking about this. We had a discussion about permaculture. This is when I was a wee lad. I was not accustomed to permaculture at this time. But we had professors and we had students who were talking about it. Yet at that time, the university they weren't ready for it. We hadn't hit that tipping point yet. So nothing really happened until the beginning of the 2000s, 2001. We had a group of students who said we want to grow food on the campus and we want to supply it to the dining hall. And the dining hall said, that's a great idea. The campus landscaping crew said, I don't want to give you a garden on campus because who's going to take care of it during the summer? We don't want it to look like a mess. We have this aesthetics that we care really, really important about. And grass lawns are kind of the traditional landscape. And so they gave them a garden to grow food on, but they gave it on the outskirts of campus. And that way people wouldn't be driving by it and see it all the time. So there was permaculture happening in 2001, but it wasn't visible. So not many people knew about it for that reason, except a small group who was involved. And then in 2009, there was another really strong push. And this time, this is when I took my PDC. So I'm very new to this, right? I don't want to stand up here and claim I know all the answers. I probably am one of the, more introductory people at this IPC. So that's why I'm really excited to share this with you too, because I want all your experience, I want your feedback on this. But in 2009, that's when I took my PDC. Next month, I was thinking, how do I do something? I need to do something right away. So that's when I went about sheet mulching my whole front lawn, turning it into a demonstration site. At the same time as this, there was a huge student push that was happening without me. I was a graduate student, and there was a bunch of undergraduate students who were all talking about permaculture, and they were designing a garden on the campus. But it was for a class project. They didn't really think it was going to happen because most universities, we know, they don't really jive with this kind of thing. They don't support this kind of thing. So it was a project that, you know, wasn't really thought of as going to actually be implemented. In November, my sheet mulching project was completed. So now we're in the winter time. I'm going through kind of the permaculture design process in this timeline too. So some of you all are probably familiar with this. Kind of the goals articulation for the UMass Amherst project was, well, first, you know, what resources do we have? So we have land, we have grass lawns, we have a lot of people at universities, so there are a lot of people to help and do this community-oriented project. We don't really need machines when we have 20,000 people who are all located in the same place. We also have access to a lot of materials. Universities have resources. So they have compost that they produce on the campus. They have lots of cardboard, they have lots of wood chips. So all the organic matter is there, and it's really cheap, and for the most part it's free for people at the university. And so when I was doing my own project, I thought, you know, what are my goals? So the goals articulation was growing local healthy food, raising awareness about permaculture, involving the community, making it easily accessible and affordable was really important because, you know, without that, then who's going to be able to replicate this? You have to make it accessible for everyone. And also just inspire people. You know, that's what I feel like my mission is right now, is just get up here, inspire people. Most of the time I'm not talking with a bunch of permaculturalists, it's mostly people who don't know permaculture at all. So that's kind of my role, I feel like, in this right now. So how to make it really accessible, really visible, is put up the sign, put up the information sheet, create a buzz by using email, by using social media. I feel like the young people, this generation, we're all so in touch with, you know, Twitter, Facebook. It's such an important avenue right now if we really want to spread awareness about this. So that was a huge way we got people to come out to our site. It's all about building momentum at the start. So back in December, this is when I was now writing my thesis. So I presented it to the Environmental Conservation Department. They were all new to this. Some of them heard about permaculture, but they didn't really know much about it. So I gave them an outline of what I was doing. And then at this point, it gets maybe a little bit controversial. And so I'm going to be a little vulnerable right now and talk about something that I did because I felt it was the right thing to do. And I'm not sure if everyone here agrees with that, but in January, about 6 months after I took my PDC, I began teaching permaculture at the University of Massachusetts. And the reason I did that was because it was my very last semester of graduate school, and I could teach it at that time. And if I didn't teach it at that time, they would not have hired me or anyone else probably after I graduated. And so I really felt in my heart that it was step up now and teach what you know. Don't try to teach what you don't know, but just share what you've learned in your PDC, or it's not going to get taught at all. And so I went with that. And, you know, that's just something I did. And I learned a lot from that experience.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was expecting to clap, but so, we can talk more at the end too about discussion. But Bill, you talk, yeah.
I always mention correctly for you.
Thank you.
Feel good? Okay, good. You gotta do it sooner or later.
Yeah.
You got to do it sooner or later.
So, you know, in February now, I'm in the process of writing the thesis, and at this point, I'm going through still the permaculture design process for myself. So my observations, why should I really teach? Am I ready to teach? I'm freaking out a little bit. But my observation is permaculture, it's not really taught at academia. It's taught on farms and eco-villages, homesteads, intentional communities, other places besides academia, but not really there. And there was a huge demand. The students were asking for it. They were designing a garden on the campus and they had never taken a certification course before. they didn't really have any training, but they were talking about permaculture and sharing it amongst themselves. And they were asking for a class, but there was no one else to teach it at this time. And so my analysis was, in order to teach a class, they said I could do that, but in order to do permaculture on the campus, in order to have a demonstration site on the campus, we needed a demonstration site near the campus. So they wouldn't do it without seeing it first. So that was what my project was a direct link to that. So by writing my thesis, I got a lot of people just asking questions and thinking about permaculture. And then at this point, I was thinking, okay, when the garden is looking good, I'm going to invite them over. I'm going to show them a permaculture garden because that's the only way it's going to transform. It's going to take that next step. So the students were asking for it. At this point, it's spring. So in March, that's about the time we start planting in Massachusetts. So we are now in the process of doing my garden and also pitching the idea to the campus. We're talking about it. We're exploring whether or not they're open to this and we're open to having a demonstration site on the campus. In April, I'm beautifying my own garden because in May, that's when we're going to have the grand opening, the big tour where we had the deans, we had the executive directors of food service, we had students, we had local reporters all coming over because it's a nice story, right? I mean, we're changing a grass lawn, something unproductive, into a place that's producing food and producing education and beauty and ecosystem health. You all know the benefits of permaculture. And so it's a really good story that we were creating. And that was also part of the pitch, how we can create a story together on the campus. So this picture right here, this is from the grand opening. Let me see. The grand opening of the garden in my front yard. The pattern that was happening at this time was the students, they were talking about it. We were creating this buzz, a permaculture buzz. And this was just happening via social media, via word of mouth. The professors were talking about it. Now the executive director of dining services thinking about permaculture. The dean of the College of Natural Science, they're all thinking, they hear this word permaculture. And now we're looking for a home. Now we're getting into from patterns to details. So the patterns or the detail was who's going to actually pay to have a demonstration site? Who's going to run it? Is there any funding for this? So we explored different avenues. We explored plant and soil science, building and construction technology, College of Natural Science, the Center for Agriculture. They were all supportive of it, but they didn't have any money. They had no money to pay anyone. They had no money to really facilitate it. But the dining services did. And this is not the case at all universities, but in the case of the University of Massachusetts, we're in a $48 million budget deficit right now. So as you all know, the economic system is not supporting projects like this. This is like something that, no way. Why are we going to pay money for permaculture when we can't even pay our own teachers and professors? But the dining services, there was a little in with them. Since the university was increasing enrollment, they need more students to pay the bills, right? So they're increasing by 200 students every single year. That means the dining services has 200 more people on the meal plan each year. So although all other departments were decreasing their spending, the dining services had more money to spend. They were separate from the university. So they were the only place at this university that actually had money to spend. So cool, right? They got money. So now we're pitching it to them. We're talking to them. And they're doing this local food, increasing by 2-4% every year. This makes perfect sense. So we found our home, right? Well, it wasn't that easy. We had to write up a proposal. They kept me hanging for about 3 or 4 months. But at that time, now it's June, we give them the formal proposal saying exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to transform a 1/4 of an acre outside of the dining hall into a garden, a big grass lawn into a garden. Give them a detailed plan, shared it with the landscaping crew, the dining service. We planted the seeds at this point, and it was pretty much take a step back and wait. Are they actually going to do this? I have no idea. So I went off and I was teaching a little bit. I taught at a summer camp for teenagers. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to get this job or not. I was creating my own job at this point to do permaculture on a campus. No one else is really doing this, so it's a long shot. But they approved it. So in August of 2010, about 13 months ago, they gave us a green light to do a demonstration site on the campus. and they found a little bit of funding for me. 20 hours a week they were paying me to do an 80-hour-a-week job, but I got some money to do it. It was enough to sustain me, and so I felt, it's okay, it's not a full-time job yet, but maybe it'll turn into that, who knows. So in September 2010, that's when UMass Amherst Permaculture was born. And it's really come a long way since then. So this is in a 15-month time period, from when I took my Permaculture Design course to teaching it to now leading a project at a major institution doing permaculture. So it happened really quick. And again, I don't have that much experience doing this, so I'm learning right now. And so that, again, I appreciate being up here in front of all you. I'm going to appreciate your feedback at the end of all this. So at this point, I don't know if you all want to do a writing exercise because we're kind of short on time, but just think about this, and we'll talk about this at the end. Should permaculture be taught? Should there be demonstration sites at universities? What are the benefits to that? And then what are the concerns to that? What do we have to be aware of? What do we have to be concerned about? Because there's definitely concerns too. And I just want you all to think about that. We'll come back to this at the very end. So I always do this talk now. Usually this presentation is geared more towards people who don't know permaculture. So I gave a talk recently at a conference, not at all like this. It was in a big resort in Dallas, Texas, and it was for university dining services all across the country. So now permaculture is going into conferences with dining services people who, you know, it's very interesting how that's happening. And so I'm giving this talk to them. They have no idea what permaculture is. So how the hell do I present it to them in a way that they'll actually understand? And so first I'm talking about, you know, why permaculture. Talk about some of the issues first. So one of the things we talk about for food services, they're concentrated on nutrition and obesity. So I give this chart a little bit, talking about local foods. And now local foods that aren't processed, that aren't going through restaurants, that aren't using pesticides and, you know, organic or non-organic fertilizers are a lot healthier and can reduce obesity. So if we're growing food on the campus, it's going to actually produce a lot healthier foods. And so we have a program called Stealth Health at UMass. And so this is something that applies to them. So nutrition is one aspect why dining services should be doing permaculture. Another is everyone knows the environmental impacts of growing food right now are catastrophic. And so we have this whole chart of greenhouse gas emissions from food. And you know, the meat industry is a huge one. The one we're really concentrating on with just, you know, vegetables is really that 11% of fruits and nuts and vegetables. That's really a small percentage right now that we're concentrating on, but it can expand. You know, permaculture at the university can go to all other departments, and the ones who are teaching people about turf grass management or about grazing and livestock, it can really apply to all of them. But right now we're just on that 11% fruits and vegetables. So we can concentrate on that. And then what does permaculture look like? So I try to show people a picture of what is permaculture. So this is our first site on the campus. This is not the one I'm talking about. This is a very small one. It's about maybe the size of this area right here, about 200 square feet. And so when I show this picture, I say, look what's growing here. So we have lemongrass, we have dill, we have fennel and chamomile. We have sage, parsley, mint, basil, tomatoes, lemon balm, chives, lettuce, spinach. When that comes out, we do a rotation, put Swiss chard in there. We have oregano, we have other culinary herbs. So in this one 200 square foot area, we have 18 intentional cultivated species all growing together. And so when we're talking about permaculture, just a very simple definition for university dining services is it's a diverse system, it's thoughtfully designed. It incorporates companion planting, locally produced organic materials, and it's incorporating perennials and annuals. So just a very simple, just so they get what permaculture actually looks like. And it can look really beautiful. This is an herb spiral, right? As you all know. And so now we're getting into kind of part 2 right now. So now we're at the point where it's all approved, and I'm gonna tell you this story about what's happened in the past year. So chapter 1 is this background. This is the UMass Amherst Permaculture Committee. This is a group of students that I work with who are amazing. They're completely passionate. They're so dedicated to what permaculture is all about. And they work their asses off because they want to propagate permaculture, not just at the university, but all over the place. So when they graduate, they're going to have 2 years of working on one project, and they're going to go out there and they're going to, want to work on more projects or maybe lead a project themselves. So it's almost like a mentorship. It's mostly like an internship program. So I've been working with some of these for 1.5 years now, and they're awesome. And it's more like a community of people. So in 2 years, from when I was still a graduate student till now, we had 1 PDC course that was taught off the campus to 8 courses that are being taught now at the university. 3 of them are these internships, 2 of them are introductory classes that are not PDCs, but now we have 3 PDCs that are taught by different people all around the campus. So it's not just me in Massachusetts right now doing this. There's probably about 12 or 13 teachers, all within a 20-mile square radius of the campus. So there's people teaching, so we have the university right here, we have classes happening over here, here, and here, and students get credit through the university by taking classes outside of the university. And actually it works out a little bit better because it kind of sucks teaching in people who are in chairs and desks at a university. It's not a very intimate setting. It's hard to teach there, but we have an eco-village nearby, we have other really great venues nearby. So that's where a majority of the PDCs are happening outside of the university still. And we also have volunteer opportunities every day, every work day, 9 to 10 a.m. We give anyone at the university, 20,000 students, an opportunity to come to the demonstration site and just get hands-on experience and just talk to people who know what permaculture is, who've been working on the project, and they get to learn about permaculture and actually get their hands dirty before they go to class. So it's just offering opportunities on the campus, and we've hosted workshops, design charrettes, and tours of nearby sites. So this was now the big project we're getting into, transforming a 1/4 acre grass lawn into a permaculture garden that's producing education and food and beauty for the campus. And it's also, the food from this garden is going directly to the dining services. So they actually can save money because the food that we're growing and the students are growing, and the students are growing it for credit. So they don't even have to pay the labor, the students have the labor, but it works out for them because they want to learn about permaculture. They get hands-on experience. So they get credit to grow the food, and the food goes to the dining services. It's a very closed-loop system. We started this project 1 year ago, September of last year, and this is kind of how we did it. We did a big sheet mulch, as you all know what sheet mulching is. Compost, cardboard, wood chips. So this is kind of the close-up view of how we did it. In 13 days, we sheet mulched 12,000 square feet. We used no machines whatsoever. We had 400 people constantly shoveling wheelbarrows, and we had 500,000 pounds of organic matter that we moved. It was ridiculous. It was just so inspiring. Every single day we went out there, we said, we're going to be working today again. 25 people show up. It's just happening right now. People are waking up and everyone is talking about permaculture. Like this huge buzz has just transpired since then. And it's just, we even had a documentary film that was made about it. So that 5-minute documentary film, I think I'll show it at the end because I want to show you guys the whole presentation, and I'll show you the documentary video at the end. But the third part is this documentary video. In a couple of months, we had 10,000 views. I was getting emails from people in Chile, Brazil, China, India, all over the US who just saw this video. And so our project, this one little 1/4 acre, was having a ripple effect. It was going out to a lot of people. I talked to someone here from New Zealand. He said, "Oh, I saw your video." It's like, nice. That's the power of social media. And the reason also I'm here, why I'm in Jordan right now, is a big reason Jeff Lawton, the Greening the Desert video. I saw that and it just, holy shit, I gotta learn more about that. If they can do that in the desert, I can do that in my front lawn. And so I've shown that video to other people, and it's just, media is so powerful, especially with the younger generation. And so we also got this video picked up, and it's been on national TV now. So this show, Real Green TV, it's going into mainstream. Permaculture is, going into mainstream. And so when we were designing, we did the big sheet mulch first, and then we designed the garden after we did the sheet mulch because that was our resting period, right? We sheet mulched it, then we had 5 months before we were going to plant it. So we did sheet mulch, and then design charrette, where we invited other professors, other people from the local community all over to participate in designing the garden with us. So it wasn't just me, it wasn't, okay, I'm the permaculture specialist, I'm going to design this garden and that's it. No, it was, you gotta involve everybody. So we had the people who had no idea what permaculture was in a room with students who are just learning about it, in the same room with people, locals, who have been doing permaculture for 30 years. And so we integrated them. We had tables of 8 people, and we produced 40 different designs in a 4-hour period. On a Saturday afternoon, over 100 people showed up to volunteer their time to design a garden with us. It's just so funny, like, to me. I'm like, it's huge. It's just happening right now. Whether we like it or not, it's getting big. And this is pictures just from the event. So 100 people, like in a big area like this, all sitting at tables, all designing permaculture, talking about, you know, what are the goals of the site, what are the, going through the whole site analysis and assessment process. And so educating them about permaculture while they're designing the garden. And then we took the overlapping themes, and there were a lot. You know, 10 groups are all saying we should put, you know, this here because that's where most people are going to enter the garden. So that makes it a lot easier for us. We say, okay, 10 groups are saying that. The land is just, it's asking for that. That should go there. It makes sense. This also covered my ass a lot too. Because if anyone came up and said, why did you do this? Or why didn't you do this? I would have said, well, we held this big design charrette. That's such a great idea. You should have came and did that. And so in a way, it's covering our ass. People are going to get mad. There's always going to be opinions when you're dealing with 40,000 stakeholders at a big university. So this is a process to hear the voices, but also, you know, ease some of that. So we got the group ideas. They were all harvested. We produced a conceptual design, which is that. A better image is like that. And so we designed the center because people are going to be on the 2nd story of the dining hall looking down at the garden. So if anyone has ever designed a garden, most of the time we are seeing it just from, you know, walking through the garden. But this one is different in that you can actually see it from above. So what we're actually drawing on paper is what people are actually going to be looking down from above, from the dining hall while they're eating, looking at the garden. So it's important to make a nice, you know, something that people identify with. So we made a leaf shape in the middle. And the leaf is where our annual vegetables are being grown. It's kind of like turning over a new leaf at the university. We also have an orchard section. We have a woodland edge. We have an edible perennial section, like our forest garden. And we also have herbs and medicinals for the dining hall to come out, and the chefs will harvest their own vegetables. And this is kind of what it looks like. Really love. It's starting to look like a leaf now. So we're getting into chapter 5 now. This is the spring. We've sheet mulched it. We've designed it. This is us looking at the sheet mulch. And this is where it got fun. There were about 15 to 20 worms per square foot in the garden at this point. Multiply that by 12,000 square feet, we had about 240,000 worms in the top 6 inches of the soil. Sweet. So I'm a little geek when it comes to worms. I love worms a lot. I got them in my kitchen. So when I tell people that fact, yeah, I think it impresses them a little. So this is our site. It's been sitting for about 5 months. We're just, you know, roughly doing the leaf shape. Now we're starting to plant. So this is a persimmon tree that we're planting right now. This is John O'Niger, who's a teacher of mine. So we also, it wasn't just me, because I needed a lot of help at this point. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I'm working with students, but I'm also bringing my mentors in. So we have people that were helping me, because you got to ask for help when you don't know. And we're planting the trees now. We're involving the students. We're involving little kids in the garden. The local community is coming. And we got little kids now planting our vegetables with us. We had 9 different schools show up in the summer to help us plant. Then we had to go back after every one of those schools came and replant because they screwed up. Or they were sticking out of the ground. We didn't replant them, but just had to go. And, yeah, kids planting, you just gotta watch them while they're doing it. So we got more kids planting at this point. Education happening. This is a group, one of the kids who came. And then we're already harvesting. So now 2 or 3 months after we plant, lettuce is really quick. So the lettuce was already being harvested. So we had students harvesting it, we had the chefs harvesting it, and then 5 minutes later it was in the sandwich line. So it's very quick, and then we put up a sign that says, in the sandwich line is food from our permaculture garden. So anyone who's not working in the garden still goes to get their food because they gotta eat, and they see the word permaculture when they're in the dining hall. So it's just raising awareness all over the place. And now this is kind of what it looks like. So this was less than a year after the sheet mulch. So we have picnic tables, we have now freshman student, when they first come to the university, they're getting an introduction to permaculture on their very first day. So we have the largest incoming freshman class because we're increasing our enrollment every year. We had 5,000 freshman students at UMass who their very first day got a presentation about inspiring stories that were happening at their university, and one of them was this. So 5,000 new students in one day all heard the word permaculture and now know about this garden. So it's just a massive consciousness shift happening just really quick, really fast. And who knows where those 5,000 people, some will never take a class, but some, it's like a feeder. And some of them are going to take a class and they're going to go and take a PDC off campus somewhere. And so it's just raising a lot of awareness to a lot of people really, really quick. And so we have this beautiful hand-carved sign that was made. We funneled about $100,000 out of the university to different people, different places. Where we got the plants was all from local universities. The sign, we had made hand-carved wooden sign, $2,000 to a local guy who does hand-carved signs. So all the money is going back into the local community to try to, foster the local economy. And we're producing food already. So we got some tomatoes, we have basil, and the students are harvesting the basil together. And then we bring that basil directly into the dining hall. So now we're just getting into some of the facts, the benefits to all this. So in 1 year, we converted this 12,000 square foot grass lawn into a garden. We moved over 500,000 pounds of organic matter. It should say 400 volunteers we've involved. Producing education, we're producing food. We're also getting a lot of media attention about this. So part of the selling to the university, why do they want to do this? Yeah, they're going to get food from it. Yeah, students are going to get education, but they need something more. You need to convince them a little bit. And so this is where my business background, I kind of understand, how they work. And so I think to myself, how are they actually going to get something, another value-added product from this? And if they can look good to the general public, if the local community looks at the university and says they're going in the right direction, they're doing more things that are being more sustainable, and we get the local media to write articles about it, that makes my boss look good, it makes his boss look good. That's what they want. They want to, look good. So I got that. And so it goes with my goal too. I don't really care if we're making my boss look good. He's not completely a permaculturalist and he's not here. The fact is that it's being in the local paper, and a lot of people, regardless of the university looking good, are being exposed to permaculture. So an article getting written, yes, it makes the university look good, but it's also getting the word permaculture out there to more people. So that's what I want to do. I'm still fresh off my PDC. I'm still super excited about this. My voice, I'm losing it already. Yeah, and we also got nominated for what's called the Real Food Challenge Award, which is another organization. So we're looking to get awards now, and that brings more attention to permaculture. So I just want to show you some of these clips. These are some clips that we got from the newspaper. So some of the headlines: What's hot on campus? UMass Amherst embraces permaculture. 2 green thumbs up. New permaculture garden. Sustainable thinking and eating. Permaculture garden gives, new meaning to the idea of fresh vegetables, garden readied. All these headlines were coming out about permaculture. Sorry, I'm getting in your way. And so I just want to, again, this is not to brag, but this is to show just how we've gotten the university and the administration to back us up on this. So we've gotten all these articles written about the garden in the last year. So this is 12 right here. We're going to continue 13 through 17 right here. We've been on the radio, we've been on local TV, we've been on national TV. so this YouTube video has really been a big help to us. YouTube has gotten the local media to see that. It's also gotten national TV to see that. And they think, oh, this is a really cool video. We're going to show this on TV. So it's making the university look good, but it's just raising awareness about permaculture. And so this is where we're getting into now, the what's next, where are we going? This is 1 year, and we've, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people now know about this one project. And this is something that now I see happening, and that I'm trying to design, I'm trying to facilitate this. So my own personal opinion is I think permaculture does have a home at academia. I think it can be incorporated if designed correctly. And I think it's happening regardless right now. And so that's why I'm trying to put intention behind it. I'm trying to do this in a way where we get people who actually know permaculture to be the ones who are hired at the universities to run these programs. Not just, you know, random people or not someone who's never studied it before. So I have gotten so many inquiries from other universities saying, oh, how do we do this? Or how'd you do this? Instead of me going around and traveling to other universities, which it's not personally sustainable for me, I'm inviting them all to come to UMass next year, next summer, and we're going to host a conference. And the conference is just going to, again, inspire them to actually take that step and put some money into hiring someone and to start an initiative on their own campus. And so the topics right now are, you know, how do you make a garden? You know, just also inspiring them to do it, telling them the economics behind it. How much did it actually cost to do this? Actually giving them a tour of our garden and giving them just some more education and some more tools. And the people who actually have the money, those are the ones we have to convince. And so part of my reason for being here is I want maybe some of you all who are inspired by this to maybe help me out. And at this conference, I'm going to want people who actually know permaculture, who can actually talk, and people who are inspiring speakers to get up here and to give them, okay, we're going to do one session on how to actually do it, how to sheet mulch, and another session on why are we doing permaculture, what's the need. You know, you have to talk about, as a lot of us do, the problems in the world, and that's part of it. That's what, you know, shifts a lot of people. It scares the people a little bit, and then you give them the solutions. And so I'm looking for people to help me with this conference. You don't have to really help design it, but if you want to, you can. But people who are really good speakers to come up here and do that. So if you're interested in that, yeah, talk to me after. And so I want to kind of end at this point with the talk and then go into a little discussion about this. But right now, there's a huge opportunity, and it's happening in academia. And people can create their own jobs like I did. Right now, I'm in the transition process, but they are going to hire me full-time to do this at the university. So I'm there. This is potentially my one client in life that I'm going to be designing for the next 30 years, because they have so many grass lawns and so many marginalized landscapes that need permaculture applied to them. And it's not just the landscapes, it's the whole university. They need permaculture in all their practices. They need to be thinking like we all think. And so the world is ready for it right now. They're asking for it. And this is my contact information. Please, yeah, talk to me after, contact me about this. But hold your applause. I just want to go into a discussion about this now and just hear your thoughts on what do you think about permaculture in academia. And I really want to talk to you, Bill, too. If you want to talk first, you're invited to.
That's fantastic what you do. And your success depends on that having been very active and well-off Donningston at the university. Not the university, not the academic university, but the Donningston. And most universities don't have such a thing, I don't think. We don't have. We, in '84, we put a little energy efficient house in at Sydney University, beside the university. We designed it with the students built it. It was very good. The idea was the house should warm and cool you. You don't have to do anything to it. So the house worked, it was there. We've got a permaculture garden around it. We had ducklings and chickens. The university hated it. On vacation, they got a bulldozer, they bulldozed. They didn't even take the ducklings away, they bulldozed the ducklings. And they hated it. So that was my experience with permaculture at university.
Yeah.
But you did a good thing with the dining services. Now, what I think we should do is go to other large, costly dining areas. That's, I think, the success. Not with the university. You won't change the university. You get the dining services. Well, that's great. I mean, I think it will do it. Where there's a lot of people being fed, you can operate.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're all behind you, and it sounds like a fairy story, doesn't it? Imagine $250 million and this and that. I mean, God, I've never heard of that.
What else? What do other people have to say? Yeah.
It's happening all over campuses, and because people are doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
They need it.
Yeah.
You find out that they really need you.
Yeah.
And if you step forward and offer yourself, it's amazing that you're suddenly working for them.
Yeah.
City College in Santa Barbara, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
The course, the PDC is offered at the campus. It's now a prerequisite for 4 or 5 landscape courses that have to take a PDC to graduate. So, and it's taught, and now we have like two professors on staff that have PDCs. And one of them was hired because he had a PDC.
Yeah.
So, you can, it's only beginning.
Awesome, yeah. That's in Santa Barbara, right?
Yeah, Santa Barbara. And the students created a whole food forest on a church.
Yeah.
1/3 of an acre.
Yeah.
And now the church has embraced it, you know. And the food is going to the food bank.
They're right. You look down at church, it's always concrete or something.
Yeah.
Like the churches
It's happening everywhere. What else? What are some other people's thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Like I have a food first site, wannabe, like it's no plans yet, but I contact some researchers, the Agricultural Academy at our place, and they just send emails to different people. I'm not studying at the university, but it's not far away, and like people are interested. Like I didn't tell them it's permaculture, I just explained them what is a forest garden, and each one of them is doing his own research. One about mycelium, one about optimizing rain-fed agriculture, for example. And then I told them, okay, you can use my site as a research site. Yeah. And the guy from the mycelium project, he liked it. He came to my site and he said, okay, we'll split it 1/2 with mycelium. I will bring everything. I will pay for it. 1/2 without. I will come and check. It's not for him. It's not permaculture. But what I want to do is like each one of them has its own sites, and they do it separately. And I want to combine all of different techniques in one site. And then after I will tell them that's permaculture. So that's another way.
Fabulous.
The thing where we've always refused to let it be taught in universities is that they all want to take 3 years to teach it.
Yeah.
Because you've got the students for 3 years and the income for 4 years.
Yeah.
We didn't have time.
Yeah.
We've got too many people starving in the world.
Yeah.
We never had 3 years to teach that. We teach it in 10, 12 days. And that's been very successful. But we deliberately kept it out of the university so it wouldn't slow down to a stop. 3 years, why should 3 years to teach a permaculture course? That's the death of it. Give it to the academics, it'll die. And they'll never be out with whole people in the field. They don't like it there. We just came from summer course on the tribal women in India, where we were dealing with 10,000 tribal women, each of them about this thick. You don't see them like them side on. And in a drought country with nothing to eat, cattle dying, sitting in hopelessness, and we converted that into a food jungle for them with plenty of water. And that is where my heart is. It's not with a few bloody professors in the university trying to make more money. But this, for dining services, could become better than that. I think that's the whole secret of your success.
And there are
So
professors.
go at it, I say.
I was just going to say there are professors who have that in their heart too. They might just not know it yet.
Possibly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not every professor.
But you also came from out of university. Permaculture came out of university research. That's what has been.
Permaculture came out of the power of Rome research. Nothing doing with it.
Okay.
I was in university for decades. I do know about university. I warn you, stay away from the bastards. But unless I've got dining service. So that's the miracle about this is the dining service. I've never heard of.
But is it really, I don't think it's really about the professors and the university itself. It's about educating the young to
And providing food.
and providing
dining
food.
service
Yeah.
Who are trying to deal with a growing population.
Yeah.
No, and you can do that in, not just in university, you can do that in dozens of places.
The difficulty I've had with interfacing with universities is, one, they like to segment permaculture into different departments.
Got to.
So Bob Makovsky at Slippery Rock University got the university to build a totally separate permaculture facility where they taught the course and did demonstration gardens and things there. Most of the universities that I know of right now that are associated with permaculture give credit for teaching that happens off campus and in the traditional 2-week format, and I think that works fine. And a lot of people want that credit, and so I'm glad that, you know, Prescott College, and there's quite a few colleges now.
And then Bob Makovsky died.
He did.
Yeah, and so Slippery Rock disappeared. And so we never did, you know, see that going to other universities. And Sydney bulldozed its energy fishing house and its permaculture in one heap and put the car park where it was. So you can't tell what's going to happen. But I think working with, what do you call them? Food service. Dining services. That's the secret. So go find all the dining services you can find. Send teams out to find dining services. Then you win. I think it's great.
Part of my thought too with this conference is I would love to have permaculturalists at the conference and the dining services at the conference and create a container, a space where we can interact with each other. And they're getting inspired while they're there, and you all know what you're doing, and they're looking for someone to hire, and they got people right at the same conference to hire. So I feel like it could be a natural space.
They listen to, went across and listened to Narsana. They could get a plane load of women, 400 women, they're only this thick. They feed them on 1 cup of rice a day each person. And they would just totally make a count of that. You know, the amount of labour those women can do, they dig all day, fasting and bulldozing. And they labour couldn't fit them down.
The majority of what we're doing, like the fair share part, is people, when they walk through the garden, there's no, they can take food. You know, someone took a butternut squash they were growing for the dining services. It cuts back on our yield a little bit that we give them, but there is that component. But mostly what we're doing is education. And more so than producing food, we're producing education for thousands of people each year. So it's really that part where we're trying to just incorporate so many more people and give more, you know, volunteer work opportunities. So I would say that's like the biggest thing we do is just provide education to the administration, the students, the local community, the local media, and just with the video, you know, the rest of the world just try to inspire. Yeah.
Have you been to Village Homes in Davis?
What's that?
Village Homes in Davis, California.
Yeah.
Well, that's designed with a botanical garden of food right through the settlement.
Yeah.
And huge, and it costs $15 a month food to live there. That's total food cost. And about the same for energy, because each house has to be at least 90% energy efficient. A lot of my students live there, and they start off by saying, people say, we plant all these fruit trees. What will happen when the fruit comes? Will somebody come and steal the fruit? And they say, we'll worry about that when the fruit comes. But then they say, can we sell them the fruit? And now they're saying, oh, for Christ's sake, come and pick up the fruit. It's everywhere. Forget who gets the fruit.
On the ground, unfortunately, a lot of it.
Yeah, they sell 7 tons of pears and you don't know it's gone.
Yeah.
I think that's all 17 tons of almonds this year.
Yeah.
So you should go there too, because there is food in settlement. That's another thing that can be sold. But that's great. I'm right behind you. Got me behind you.
Yeah.
I felt, first of all, I'm amazed about the story. It really involved me personally, because I'm not dealing in campuses, but in elementary schools, where we're trying to find the way to do it. And the way we're doing it is like a project which is called a garden for every child. This is like the way to put our foot inside organizations to start to work and get things done. And I think that what amazed me
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
In the right place at the right time.
And I think that the question that you raised it's like a larger question: is do we deal with permaculture in organizations? Because what I felt that you brought here, and I've heard a lot of talks here, is the way to tell the story, and the way to use the power of organizations, because it's something that when you enter, then it goes to a lot of people. And I think that you managed to unlock the way to talk to their heart, so it will, and that's why you got to so many people, because people are, I think they are positive. They want to connect to positive things. And the question that I want to ask you is that I feel a very essential thing of your success is that you took the job in the campus. You're not like the expert that comes from outside, gives them the advice, but you're the generator that's inside. And
you're their baby.
What did you say?
You're their baby. They produced you. How can they criticize you?
It's true.
It's so true.
You're their baby. So true.
And my question is, how do you generate, like when you will not be there? I saw the first step that you're doing, like to teach other people that can teach.
Are you saying how do I not be there and how it's not dependent on me?
Yes, that's
being designed right now. I gave a commitment to them for 3 years, and I said, in 3 years, I want it. I'm not saying I'm going to do this, but I want to be able, at the end of year 3, to completely walk away and know that this project will continue. Because now there's 2 of us, so there's another guy who works with me. If I step away, he's there, and then he brings in the next person. So since there's 2 of us, that helps with it. But it's gonna continue right now.
In 20 years' time, I won't have any teeth left. I'll be very, very old, and I can't move much. And I want a professorship at this university. I'll gum my toothless jaws and people. And I'll dribble very wise sentences.
Also, the economic sustainability is something we're working on, is getting grants to keep doing this, and just getting awards, like, trying to branch out and see.
Bring all my little tin women.
Yeah, I just want to say that when it was in college, in the dining services, that I really started learning about food and food choices, and the power I had to choose the food that I wanted. And it wasn't really from the dining services, it was from other students who were eating in the dining services. But the dining services was very, very open to ideas. They wanted to learn more about vegetarianism. They wanted to learn about local food sources. And that's really what got me indirectly into farming and then into permaculture, was hanging out in the dining services and eating dining food. And so this goes every way. It's beautiful. But I also just just a word of caution, I guess, is that, you know, 5,000 people who learn about permaculture on their first day, they're learning about the garden specifically. It's very easy for people to get an idea in their head that permaculture is about food and that's it. They just don't realize it. And so you can't say much on the first day really, but just to, you know, encourage you to continue to look at this in terms of energy efficiency and the connections with off-campus and all of that, is to really, you know, as this food goes, don't lose sight of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's great.
Yeah, I want to hear those too, but get into that.
It's kind of ironic that as farmers are so resistant to change, dining services embrace them at every turn. But the reason for that is that restaurants make their money on turning out new ideas all the time. So you have to create something. You have to turn a fad into a trend and a trend into a lifestyle, and that your sticking quality in dining services may fade over time. So you're going to need to be able to transition this into the other parts of the college that can carry on the work long term.
The difference is to the student eating food from your garden. It's just simply a better style of life. The women we feed in India, it is life. Without us, they die.
So it seems like...
And we'll fly them in for you and take you and reduce you to a nice thin person.
But I would lose my laugh.
What would you lose?
My laugh.
Take a big...
We all got great laughs here.
Feed me.
So I don't want to keep going any longer because I see lunch is out right now.
Maybe you can show the movie.
Good job.
The movie.
Yeah, so I got the movie too. I'll play that right now. It's only 5.5 minutes. And I'll frame it in a way that this video, you're not going to probably learn too much new because it's mainly about sheep mulching. But it's a way to get people who know nothing about permaculture inspired about our project. Yeah. And so that was how we did it. This is on YouTube right now. If you look up UMass Permaculture or UMass Amherst Permaculture, you'll find this video, and you're gonna see my face a lot in it. So just